Thank you, Catherine, for a beautiful way to start our service. I invite you all to find your chalice or candle as we light our chalice.
We light this chalice in grateful, loving community.
Even in the darkest of times,
its flame like paths
to courage, justice, and hope.
Good morning, everyone. Our opening words come from Canadian UU minister and singer-songwriter, the Reverend Lynn Harrison. An arc of Earth's surface, blue oceans and swirling white clouds taken from space, committed to respond to the call of a wounded world. We join together this day with loving hearts, hands, and minds, embracing the interconnected web of water, air, and earth. We light a fire of sustaining hope, ever bright with love and justice. May we bring forth this day new wisdom, strength, and courage to create a new world, not of wealth, but well-being. A world of new peace and abundance for all as we give thanks for this earth, our shared and singular home. May we dedicate ourselves to its ongoing care, rising to the calls deep within us and all around us. May we respond today and always with courage and with love. Come, let us worship together. I invite everyone to join me in our unison affirmation. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love to all living beings. May we know once again that we are not isolated, but connected in wonder and joy to mystery and miracle in the universe, in this community, and in each other. And we're going to kick things off with one of my favorite hymns, Blue Boat Home. This recording is Catherine and our own, Catherine Cataviani and Peter Criswell. I encourage you to please stay on mute, but sing, sing, sing.
Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into
Thank you, Catherine and Peter. I do love that one. I'm going to share a story. I had big dreams on animating it, but it didn't happen, but we're going to try it anyway. Today, we're going to read the story Earth on Turtle's Back, which is an Onondaga story, and it comes from this wonderful book I was given when I worked in the Native American community in Seattle called Keepers of the Earth by Michael Caduto and Joseph Bruchak. Before this earth existed, there was only water. It stretched as far as one could see, and in that water there were birds and animals swimming around. Far above in the clouds, there was a skyland. In that skyland, there was a great, beautiful tree. It had 4 white roots which stretched to each of the sacred directions, and from its branches all kinds of fruits and flowers grew. There was an ancient chief in the skyland. His wife was expecting a child, and one night she dreamed that she saw the great tree uprooted. The next morning, she told her husband the story. He nodded as she finished telling her dream. "My wife," he said, "I am sad that you had this dream. It is clearly a dream of great power, and, as is our way, when one has such a powerful dream, we must do all that we can to make it true. The great tree must be uprooted." Then the ancient chief called all the young men together and told them they must pull up the tree. But the roots of the tree were so deep, so strong that they could not budge it. At last, the ancient chief himself came to the tree. He wrapped his arms around it, bent his knees, and strained. At last, with one great effort, he uprooted the tree and placed it on its side. Where the tree's roots had gone deep into the skyland, there was now a big hole. The wife of the chief came close and leaned over to look down, grasping the tip of one of the great tree's branches to steady her. It seemed as if she saw something down there, far below, glittering like water. She leaned out further to look, and as she leaned, she lost her balance and fell into the hole. Her grasp slipped off the tip of the branch, leaving her with only a handful of seeds as she fell down, down, down. Far below in the water, some of the birds and animals looked up. "Someone is falling toward us from the sky. We must do something to help her." 2 swans flew up. They caught the woman from the sky between their wide wings. Slowly, they began to bring her down toward the water where the birds and animals were watching. "She is not like us," said one of the animals. "Look, she does not have webbed feet. I don't think she can live in the water." "What shall we do then?" "I know," said one of the water birds. "I have heard that there is earth far below the waters. If we dive down and bring up earth, then she will have a place to stand." So the birds and animals decided that someone would have to bring up earth. One by one, they tried. The duck dove down first, some say. He swam down and down, far beneath the surface, but could not reach the bottom and floated back up. Then the beaver tried. He went even deeper. So deep that it was all dark, but he could not reach the bottom. And then the loon tried, swimming with its strong wings. He was gone a long time, but he too failed to bring up earth. Soon, It all seemed that all animals of the water and the sky had tried and failed. I will bring up earth or die trying. They looked to see who it was. It was the tiny muskrat. She dove down and swam and swam. She was not as strong or as swift as the others, but she was determined. She went so deep that it was all dark, and still she swam deeper. She went so deep that her lungs felt ready to burst, but she swam deeper still. At last, just as she was becoming unconscious, she reached out one small paw and grasped at the bottom, barely touching it before she floated up almost dead. When the other animals saw her break the surface, they thought she had failed. Then they saw her right paw was held tightly shut. She has the earth, they said. Now where can we put it? Place it on my back, said a deep voice. It was the great turtle who had come up from the depths. They brought the muskrat over to the great turtle and placed her paw against his back. To this day, there are marks at the back of the turtle's shell, which were made by muskrat's paw. This tiny bit of earth fell on the back of Turtle. Almost immediately, it began to grow larger and larger and larger until it became the whole world. Then the two swans brought the sky woman down. She stepped onto the new earth and opened her hand, letting the seeds fall onto the bare soil. From those seeds, the trees and the grass sprang up. Life on earth had begun. With that story in mind and the image of dreams being made true and determination and feeling one's lungs work and the image of a handful of seeds being dropped on Turtle's back to create a new earth, I invite us all into a moment of reflection and meditation. Today, I invite you to be focusing on our seventh principle, which says an affirmation of the interconnected web of all life of which we are a part. And while we're thinking of the seventh principle, can we also think about expanding our own understanding of our relationship to Earth? To inspire us, I'd like to have this image on the screen of trees that look like lungs, and within those branches are birds and butterflies. So please put your feet on the ground and let's take 2 to 3 minutes of silent meditation. I will ring a bell when we are through. Please join me in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life, source of love, carry our joys and sorrows, our concerns, hopes, our wonderings, our wanderings, and surround us with love and guidance. Invite us all into a deeper, familiar relationship with the earth and all her living beings. May we be reminded that we are all interconnected and that the hurt of one is the hurt of all. Amen. Our offering this month seems so appropriate for today. We are sharing our plate with the river keepers. And I'm grateful for so many of you who have been giving so generously and really helping us live into our values, partnering with local organizations, doing important work that align with our 7 principles. So I encourage you to keep doing the same. I thank you for taking to our online and texting efforts. Of course, we're okay with an old school check in the mail too. And I'm going to play this piece of music with the translation, Mi Mine Haeshua. It's about water and the wellspring of liberation, recorded by Yael Schonzeit and Avra Shapiro.
Mi Mine Haeshua Shavtemayim besason Mi Mine Haeshua Shavtemayim besason We will draw water in celebration from the wellspring of liberation. We will draw water in celebration from the wellspring of liberation. We will draw water in celebration from the wellspring of liberation. We will draw water in celebration from the wellspring of liberation. We will draw water in celebration from the wellspring of liberation. We will draw water in celebration from the wellspring of liberation. We will draw water in celebration from the wellspring of liberation. We will draw water in celebration from the wellspring of liberation. We will draw water in celebration from the wellspring of liberation. We will draw water in celebration from the wellspring of liberation.
I hope you liked that. Thank you all for your generosity and your giving to this community and to the River Keepers this month. We're going to hear a reading now by our own. I want to thank Debbie Pinheiro Zucker for recording this and for providing a beautiful photograph as the backdrop to this reading.
Good morning. Our reading this morning comes from the book Mother Earth Spirituality by Ed Mcgay, Eagleman, a lawyer, writer, lecturer, and member of the Oglala Sioux tribe. The plight of the non-Indian world is that it has lost respect for Mother Earth, from whom and where we all come. We all start out in the world as tiny seeds, no different from our animal brothers and sisters, the deer, the bear, the buffalo, or the trees, the flowers, the winged people. Every particle of our bodies comes from the good things Mother Earth has put forth. Mother Earth is our real mother because every bit of us truly comes from her, and daily she takes care of us. The tiny seed takes on the minerals and the waters of Mother Earth. It is fueled by Wayo, the sun, and given a spirit by Wankan Tanka. This morning at breakfast, we took from Mother Earth to live as we do every single day of our lives. But did we thank her for giving us the means to live? The old Indian did. When he drove his horse in close to a buffalo running at full speed across the prairie, he drew his bowstring back and said as he did, "Forgive me, brother, but my people must live." After he butchered the buffalo, he took the skull and faced it toward the setting sun as a thanksgiving and an acknowledgement that all things come from Mother Earth. He brought the meat back to camp and gave it first to the old, the widowed, and the weak. For thousands of years, great herds thrived across the continent because the Indian never took more than he needed. Today, the buffalo is gone. You say ecology. We think the words Mother Earth have a deeper meaning. If we wish to survive, we must respect her. It is very late, but there is still time to revive and discover the old American Indian value of respect for Mother Earth.
Thank you, Debbie, for sharing those words with all of us. Can everyone take a moment to just breathe? If you can, look out a window or at some manifestation of creation. If you cannot see something from your window, then look at a pet or a houseplant or an object in your home that connects you to nature. Really look at it. Look inside it. What do you feel? Being in this part of the world, we are fortunate, supremely fortunate, to be surrounded by wonderful and wonder-filled manifestations of all creation. During the pandemic, and we were locked down, when our urban siblings, as well as our impoverished and our marginalized siblings around the world, were stuck inside small apartments or had to go to essential work with no place to recharge, we were all able to get some time outside, to sit in backyards, take hikes or walks in the Catskills. We were given clean air to breathe, flowers to smell, birds to hear. What a gift it is to live here. And yet, even amidst these wonders of nature, we may not truly feel our inherent interconnectedness to all living things. I imagine that many of us have read enough Wendell Berry or Mary Oliver or any one of our transcendentalist forebears to appreciate the beauty of wild things, to know there is a spirituality in connecting to nature. Thank goodness for Thoreau, Emerson, Leopold, and Fuller for breaking us Unitarians out of our cognitive boxes and inviting us into a deeper connection with nature, a manifestation of God in the world, a sign of divinity in all things. For some, we stop at beauty and think, yes, I love nature because she is beautiful. For others, they go to nature as a spiritual source of replenishment and awe. And yet still others, sadly, have no connection whatsoever to nature, or have negative connections to nature due to work they've been forced to do or their ancestors were forced to do. Some folks without connection simply see it as a place to take a break, or a resource, or worse, something to be exploited, extracted, and monetized. I want to encourage us this morning to take all the feelings we have about nature and the earth, even if they are very deep, and see if we can go deeper. To see earth and every living thing on earth as family. As Oglala Sioux writer Ed Mcgay writes, when Indians say that we are all related to all things, we mean that all races have the same mother, Mother Earth, and we are all brothers and sisters. Humankind and all earth dwellers are one Tiospaye, extended family. Humans, the winged ones, the four-legged, finned, and planted ones. We are all one family. I want to share an image with you, which won't show up that well, but I want you to look at it for a moment. I have this lithograph hanging next to my bed. It is the first thing I see in the morning and the last thing I see at night. I bought it about 10 years ago, and when I look at it still, I am reminded that I am just a small leaf on this amazingly intricate and wonderfully old family tree. If it were easier to see, you would see that at the base of the tree is bacteria and archaebacteria, and then we travel up to the eukaryotes, and then branches extend into the realms of plant, fungi, and what we call the animal kingdom. We humans are a teeny subshoot on the primate limb, all the way up at the top there, and actually we are not even represented beyond a chimpanzee on this chart. And as we know, we are clearly outnumbered in the world by all other biomass. Humans make up only 0.01% of life on planet Earth. And yet, we get to dictate how Earth is treated. We are the destroyers. We, the smallest of the smallest buds on a mighty oak tree, see ourselves as a part from rather than part of. And therein lies the problem. If we see ourselves as separate, no amount of love for nature's beauty or bounty, no amount of respect for what she gives will change things. We have to fundamentally change the way we think about our relationship to the planet. And one way to do that is to think the way Ed Mcgay does. And really, not just him, almost all indigenous peoples around the world think. We are all related. We are all related not only makes us better stewards of the earth, but it also has the effect of helping us see the importance of environmental justice. We don't just preserve the wild things because they are alive and beautiful. We must also address the suffering brought to our disenfranchised, marginalized, and colonized siblings here and all around the world, because their pain is our pain. And if we as humans are part of the root cause, then we also need to be part of the solution. Climate change is already impacting all of us, especially the poorest of the world and those living in the global south. If we view Earth as family, then we view all inhabitants as members of our family. And thus, if we care about the plight of the timber wolf and the pollinators, then we must also care about the plight of the South Pacific Islanders and the Aboriginal Brazilian people who are losing their homes, livelihoods, and traditional ways of being. And we can even be sure to care about our neighbors in urban centers in the United States with poor air quality. Yesterday, I was on a call with my fellow Green Faith organizers from all over the United States, as well as the Netherlands, Uganda, Nigeria, and Cameroon. We sat in large and small groups and talked about our call to this work as faith leaders or members of faith communities. It was one of the most spiritually enriching, inspiring, and joyful days I've had in a long time. I felt so truly connected to something larger than myself, and saw that all of us, regardless of where we lived and which God we worshiped, were connected. We were family. We shared stories of how we were called to do the work of addressing climate change and dismantling environmental injustice. I was reminded of my time in Guatemala and in the Pacific Northwest, the blessing of learning from indigenous people in both settings, and how they helped me move from seeing the earth through my ecologist eyes to seeing earth as family. How life-changing it was for me 30 years ago to see our seventh principle, the interconnected web of all life of which we are a part, through the lens of those who never lost their familial connection to Mother Earth. There is so much work to be done on behalf of Mother Earth and all of our earthly siblings. We live in a part of the world where people still actually debate the reality of climate change, even as evidence of it is everywhere. We also live in one of the countries that contribute the most to the harmful effects of climate change. As privileged members of society, our choices and our voices matter, and we can both learn from and be supportive of efforts from our human siblings in riskier societal positions. So I ask you, do you feel called to heal the earth and protect all of her creation? Do you feel called to protect our human siblings who suffer far more than us because of the structure of society and the legacy of colonialism and violence? If so, please take some time this week to consider how your call will be inspired, transformed, or magnified if we viewed Earth and all creation as members of our beloved family. May it be so. And we have some music. Oh, where did that slide go? Sorry. Well, I'll take a pause to find what happened to the slide I made. A group of us got together with Catherine in the sanctuary to record Joni Mitchell's Big Yellow Taxi. And it seems to have disappeared, but if you give me 5 seconds, I will be silent. You can think about this call to care for the earth while I find the video. Consider it bonus meditation time. Okay, I think I found it. It's not what I planned, but we're going to try and share it anyway. Please sing along, stay on mute, but I'm sure you must. Well, the words are there for you to sing along.
Swinging hot spot.
I hope you all sang along. I saw some lips moving. That was great. Our closing words are just some thoughts I jotted down to send you off on your week. Go forth this week in deeper connection with Earth and our fellow earthly family members. Deepen your understanding. Imagine an alternative way of living and being. Live into our first and seventh principles. We are indeed interconnected, and all living things have worth and dignity. May we all live with the phrase my colleagues at the American Indian Heritage School taught me 30 years ago. All my relations. Can we carry that in our hearts and minds? All my relations. Blessed be, and amen. And I invite you now to find your chalice. And our extinguishing chalice words. Sorry. Here we go. Okay, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. That's where it was. It was in the wrong place. Okay, please join me in a spoken benediction, which are words taken from the covenant that you all created a few years ago. May we listen respectfully and fully, honoring our covenant and community. May we offer support, time, compassion, humor, and trust. May we be mindful of our intent and impact, taking responsibility for our words and actions. And may we endeavor to grow spiritually, ever open to change, so that our UU principles may come to life. May it be so. I invite everyone to switch to gallery view so we can all see one another. I reopened the chat. If anyone wants to put any comments or thoughts in the chat, we can see one another. I'm going to stop recording.